There are two fundamental things that we all experience: hunger and illness. We experience both across the entire spectrum, from the mildest things to the most intense of hungers. No one wants to go through the day without eating or falling ill. And if we have people to depend on us, we want that even less. Nowadays, we all head to the supermarket to do our grocery shopping. We wander through the aisles. We pick out what we want, what we need, and what we often don't need. Making a choice is not always that simple. We choose based on price, on brands, on familiarity, on packaging, on nutritional value. Sometimes we don't even know why we choose what we do. Perhaps simply because we have always done it that way, or because we saw it in an advertisement, or because someone famous was promoting it. The news too, they constantly inform us about whatever the virtues and horrors associated with certain foods are. And there we sit, listening, alternately horrified and astonished by what we hear. Then come the people who claim that they can decipher the labels with their convoluted terminology and therefore conclude that those products can't be any good. Or they obsess over an item and it's GMO, it's paleo, it's keto, it's organic, or whatever else they have. Doubt begins to hit us and we start to believe those things. Same phenomenon applies to medicine. It manifests in all wives' tales, such as the notion that vaccines cause autism, that they secretly implant microchips in our bodies, that doctors are bought off by pharmaceutical companies, or that any illness can be cured with a simple home remedy. You know, some of these beliefs come from sheer desperation. If you have a child suffering from an ailment that, no over the counter medicine can cure, you cannot afford them to take you to the doctor or pay for a prescription. You would most likely resort to trying some kind of anything. And if a prescribed medication all of a sudden seems ineffective, you can conclude that it's simply because the doctors are paid upon pharmaceuticals, prescribing pharmaceuticals, prescribing their drugs just for profit. So those instances, emotions clouds reason. And if our budget is tight when we visit the supermarket, we may feel guilty for not being able to afford the organic products that everyone touts as the best thing around. Or perhaps we simply bypass the produce section because, no one in our household eats those fruits and vegetables. They're expensive, and if no one eats them, they will simply go to waste. So we're throwing our money away. And compounding these things, we might begin to believe that, things that raw milk or water directly from a creek, it's great. We start taking risks because we don't know how we feel about certain things. Sometimes we find ourselves questioning our own choices simply because they make the task of preparing a meal sometimes a little easier. You know, those are the kind of things that create the doubt that is not healthy to have. So, if I were president, I will start by returning to the food plate as a visual guide. We used to have the pyramid, then we got the plate, and there are some things in the plate, but the basics of it, what everyone needs to know, and pretty much every nutritionist out there telling everyone, it's just that they don't get the same views as a lot of other influencers, is that most of the plate is made up of fruits and vegetables. That's it. Add a lot of fruits and vegetables there, and then you are golden. A little bit of protein in the form of, vegetables or meat. You will be good. Meat, fish, any animal pretty much. And you will be good to go. You don't need to have milk. You don't need to have cheese. You don't need to have yogurt. You don't need to have any of these other things. Fruits and vegetables, a little bit of protein, and then you're good. That is something that is visually easy to understand. I can, the task of being the president and giving this information to the widest possible audience in the way that makes the most benefit is that. simple, easy to see, easy to implement. If following that takes you to supermarket and lets you pick all of the fruits and vegetables that you can and start eating them, then great. Um, the only thing that you need to add is simply add color. Mix all of those vegetables together, add different colors here and there, and that's it. You will most likely have a very balanced diet. Do you need to worry about organic or is not organic, can or not? You don't. Part of buying our fruits and vegetables really has to do with the money. If we don't have a lot of money, then we go for the can. They usually offer the best bang for the buck. Yeah, they usually have a preservative, in form of salt, which again, it's not optimal. But if you're moving into fruit and vegetables as your main source of food, that is a whole lot better than the alternative. And then if you can afford a little bit more, frozen vegetables are also good. So you're starting moving towards the fresher portion while still saving some of your money. And then from those are frozen, you move to fresh fruits and vegetables. Then you jump into organic and all those things. So you will start saving some money. You don't need to worry that it's frozen. It's nutritionally good. Even if it's canned, still nutritionally good. If you take a can of green beans, if you take a can of mushrooms, that is so much better than if you're taking a bag of chips. That's that's just that's just how it is. So fruits and vegetables, canned, frozen, fresh, organic. That's kind of the way to move past that portion of the site. It will take a while for anyone that has never really set up some kind of food that they don't like or they've always thought that they will not like. It takes a while to get to it. Hey, it's for the benefit of everyone. But that is of one of the primary functions for the president. Then comes about quantities. There's numbers out there, there's all of these things. You will start eating. For the most part, there's a lot of food out there. There's a lot of calories. And I mean, not say food, there's a lot of calories out there. Some of those calories are not good, some others are good. But if you stay with fruits and vegetables, you'll start eating. You'll maybe eat. You just hold it until you're just about full. Then you're done because it takes a little while for your body to make sure that you're ready. So once you do, once you finish eating, after a while, you realize that you're feeling full, you're feeling okay, you have everything that you need. And sometimes the doubts then come into, well, is my weight the right one? Am I over? Am I under? And that's not exactly how it works. Yes, there is a number that we can calculate that will give you an idea. But if you eat right, if you do exercise, if you sleep, if you control all the stress that you can have, you will go to a certain number. And that number might be right on the mark that you're expecting. It might be below the mark or it might be over the mark. And that's when we learn that our bodies are just not exactly towards one number. We have different types of body shapes and body sizes. And if you do all of those things, you'll get close to where you need to be. You will feel it, you will understand it. Your doctor will be able to tell you how it is. Through different tests and stuff that they done, you will see how you will start feeling better. It would be a way to access food, and it would be a way for us to get healthy without going into all of the additional stuff that Maha is trying to also fit into into our collective consciousness. In the end, they are all of these things about social media. In the end, they are still trying to sell you something. If they were to tell you something as simple as if you're fruit and vegetables every single day, after a couple of weeks, no one will be watching them. They need the advertisements that will come for them to start getting money. And, they might start promoting things that are not true, that are not real. But that would be a way that I, as president, as the government, will be able to give a clear indication of what is good and useful to every single one. There's a lot more, including to include in being healthy and so on. But let's jump for a minute to science and prevention. One of the other things that we need to do is simply go back to the, the previous vaccine schedule. Vaccines were too good for their own good. They were able to take a lot of common illnesses that will kill people or will simply disable them. Um, Pretty much wipe them. We don't see it. We don't understand how they are. And the older people that were alive when those illnesses were out there destroying our communities are a little bit on the older side. And if they're here, it's because they survived. You'll need to start asking questions to figure it out. You need to talk to those older people in the community to try to understand what it was like doing their early days, to really see what was the benefit of the vaccines. For those that don't know, back in the 1800s, about 20% of the kids used to die based on preventable illnesses. And that's where vaccines were a miracle of science, preventing all of those unnecessary deaths. There is simply no better thing for us to do to promote communal health than vaccination. There's additional health measures to take. We still need to have universal health care because being healthy is one of the necessary things to do to enjoy life, to being productive, to love, live, and laugh. And although I do have more to say, I think we can leave that for the next time.